The obligation is going to be met. Yes, it's true. Okay, you did your job. But we all know what bosses are looking for.
We get some answers and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry.
The rematch, he'll be able to prove himself.
Stephenasmith urges Gervonta Davis to sign the rematch contract with Lamont Roach, emphasizing that true champions exceed expectations. He argues that boxing is not solely about fulfilling contractual obligations, but about making an impact, drawing in revenue, and generating ratings. Smith stresses that Davis needs to demonstrate his leadership in the sport by stepping up and securing the fight.
Yes, it's true. Okay, you did your job. But we all know what bosses are looking for. They're looking for the exceptions to the rules, not the rules. You want somebody that's about having an impact, that's about making sure that it's felt.
Smith highlighted that Davis is seeking a rematch to reaffirm his position in the boxing world, aiming to silence any lingering doubts from their previous fight. Despite having multiple options before retirement, Davis's desire for a rematch shows his dedication to cementing his legacy. After their first encounter, by agreeing to face Roach again, Davis is determined to clear up any uncertainties from their initial bout and prove his readiness to take on Roach once more.
Fight the team right back. I'm believing him. I didn't see him hurt or anything like that. I get that part. I saw him hurt when he got popped with a counter from Lamont Roach and he stumbled backwards because he got hit with a shot while throwing a punch in an earlier round. So I'm certainly not going to do that. Here's the important point to mention. All of us got to stand down and give Lamont Roach an apology. I thought that brother was going to get beat down because I saw a dude that was a bantamweight champion. I said, why are you moving up to fight this guy? Why is Gervonta Davis taking this fight? This guy's too small. What the hell is going on? He was a featherweight champion. You're a lightweight. What the hell is going on? Why would you take that fight? I didn't understand it. What I didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis. Walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time.
The first match, Lamont Roach displayed incredible resilience and skill. He went toe-to-toe with Davis, effectively absorbing and countering punches. Roach's strong defensive abilities and his capacity to retaliate made a lasting impression on boxing fans, establishing him as a serious contender in the ring.
What I didn't know is that once Lamont Roach stepped into the ring, he would be the bigger fighter. What I didn't know is that once he was in the ring and he looked like the bigger fighter, he fought like the bigger fighter because, ladies and gentlemen, from opening bell, he walked right to Gervonta Davis. Walked right to him and stayed in his face all night long. If he backed up at all, ladies and gentlemen, it was 5% of the time. The other 95% of the time, he walked right to Gervonta Davis. Gervonta Davis caught him with some good shots. He took it and then gave it back. Body punches, counter punches, left hook, straight right. This brother Lamont Roach can fight. And he's beautiful defensively as well. And seemed completely unfazed and undeterred by Tank Davis, a knockout artist.
Lamont Roach strategically added a rematch clause to his initial contract, ensuring an automatic rematch in case of a loss or a draw. This move reflected his confidence and determination to get another shot if necessary. By planning ahead, Roach made sure he would have the chance to prove himself again, showcasing both his business sense and belief in his boxing capabilities.
I just so happen to be a boxing fan that the fact that I do watch him fight, you know what I'm saying? Like, I really like boxing.
Are you open to immediate rematch?
In my contract, immediate rematch was signed. I signed for the immediate rematch when I signed for the first fight.
Right.
Just in case he lost or just in case it was a draw.
So when you got a rematch clause, how long we take it?
It's up to the A side and when they want to fight. So I'm thinking it's gonna be soon. I'm hoping it's gonna be soon. Let's say that.
What is soon to you? When you say soon to me, I'm thinking a month.
I'm thinking July.
I'm thinking July for sure.
Boxing analyst Teddy Atlas has spoken out about the need for a rematch between Davis and Roach. He believes that unresolved issues from their previous fight necessitate another bout. However, he is skeptical about the rematch happening due to concerns over the lack of accountability regarding the referees' decisions.
I think we know the answers.
Yeah.
I think we know the answers. I think we know the answers,
but we need the rematch and we'll get it. But I touched on last night during the live stream It's the great Angelo Dundee with Ali when he couldn't see and he was blinded. He didn't say go out there and call a timeout, take a knee. Go and run, move until you can see. And just to be able to go out there and call a timeout, it's like being in the schoolyard. Oh, do-over. Unbelievable. This has to be addressed. This can't just continue. This referee must be sat down and reprimanded. And hopefully we get some answers and we get the rematch.
We won't. I'm sorry. I'm terrible. I am, but I'm ashamed of myself. I am so cynical. But this sport has made me cynical. I'm sorry. I don't see anyone's going to reprimand this referee. What are they going to do? I mean, it happens too often. It's happened too often. I don't know. We need a national commission. That's the only thing I can think of, but we're not getting one right now. But the last thing I want to say to put a bow on this one, Bud, we talked about the controversial part, but I want to finish with the great part. That was high-level boxing. That was two guys at the highest level showing their skills.
Teddy Atlas voiced his discontent with modern boxing, claiming that popularity and power have more influence on outcomes than actual skill. He expressed frustration over what he perceives as biased decisions that compromise the sport's integrity for financial and promotional reasons. Atlas feels this trend has tarnished boxing's authenticity, disappointing longtime fans and purists who value fair competition. His concerns reflect a broader conversation about the sport's credibility in today's world.
What are you gonna do? I love my sport that I've been in for 50 years. I hate what people do to it. I hate it. I don't hide that. I love the fighters. I admire the fighters. I try to defend the fighters the best I can. But that was appreciated by me. To see, I appreciate Floyd Mayweather. I appreciate Sugar Ray Leonard. I appreciate, all those great fighters.
Many analysts and boxing fans initially believed that Gervonta "Tank" Davis would secure a knockout in his first fight against Lamont Roach. Given his reputation for explosive power and an aggressive approach, Davis was expected to dominate early and finish the fight decisively. However, as the fight progressed, Roach proved to be incredibly resilient, absorbing Davis's punches and countering effectively. This unexpected turn of events defied pre-fight predictions and left many surprised. The absence of a knockout raised doubts about Davis's strategy and whether Roach had exposed weaknesses in his approach. Ultimately, the outcome sparked ongoing discussions about the true capabilities of both fighters.
I expected to see a knockout. I expected to see it come at the hands of Gervonta "Tank" Davis against a dude that I thought was undersized, that I thought was not on the same level. And my God, was I wrong. So I thought it was apropos that on this particular day, more than a week after Lamont Roach showed up at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York, and let everybody know, yo, I'm no joke either. Y'all don't know who the hell I am. I'm here to reintroduce him to the world. A guy that many believe should be the lightweight champion of the world in the sport of boxing. The one and only Lamont Roach joins me right now.
After the fight, Davis expressed uncertainty about a potential rematch with Roach, suggesting that he was more interested in facing other opponents. He hinted that his next fight could involve different challengers, reflecting the wide range of options available to him in his career.
The plan was I was going to call out someone in the ring, and then the journalists are like, well, who? I can't say. Well, who are you going to call out? Well, you saw he was in my locker room. And then everyone starts doing the math. The only fighter that came in the locker room of Gervonta Davis was Jake Paul.
Oh, Jesus.
Jake Paul was in attendance. Jake Paul was in attendance with his business manager, Nikisa Badarian. Do the math there.
Tank has taken losses all over the place. He didn't lose in the ring, but in terms of his profile, in terms of things he's saying, in terms of how he looks, he's taken losses.
I'm just gonna say, man, I like Tank Davis. I have a nice working relationship with him, but you cannot deny that his image took a hit, and it know what it showed to me, Chris, is every dog has its day, not in a good way. he's 30-0 heading into this fight. He's the man. He's the number one ticket seller. He's a pay-per-view attraction. He knocks everyone out. He puts freaking butts in seats. That place was full to the brim.
Hot.
With
Like
weed, I was
sardines in
high.
there.
Weed smoke.
Yeah,
I was stoned.
dope.
Were you stoned Saturday night? I was a little stoned.
Yeah, I had a headache driving home.
And maybe that has something to do with me walking out of there. But the hate that came out immediately after from fighters, Devin Haney, Teofimo, Shakur, to everyone, Berlanga, to the fans who have been just waiting for this moment.
Bud chimed in too.
Well, Davis has talked shit about literally everyone too. Like Davis was on his perch, as like this PBC guy who is
Gets
just
paid, who puts butts in seats, who knocks everybody
Right.
out. And
it was warranted. Like Davis was the man. He's knocking everyone out, and you're selling out. What more can you do in this sport? Like that's the name of the game: make money, knock people out, fame, notoriety, and all that. So the minute he was going to slip up, and no one thought it was going to come in this fight against Lamont Roach. The minute Tank slipped up, you knew that everyone was going to come out with their pitchforks. Everyone was going to come out with their knives.
Many boxing analysts are strong advocates for a rematch, arguing that Lamont Roach deserves another shot to secure a conclusive result. They contend that the first fight left too many unanswered questions, making a second bout necessary to settle the score. A rematch would give both Roach and Davis the chance to prove who the better fighter truly is, removing any doubts and resolving the debate once and for all inside the ring.
And I concur with Dane Rayfield. A win taken away from Lamont Roach in such a big moment changes so many things. He deserves this win, and I feel like they took it from him.
Chris? Rematch in Brooklyn. Let's run it back. I want to see it again. I was there. It was
Brooklyn.
The energy was great in there.
What about Vegas? Less taxes.
Well, that's
Brooklyn,
that's a good
the
point.
scene of the crime. Go back to it and
They take a lot
justice.
of taxes in New York.
Yeah, I want the justice in the room.
Well, thank you. Justice in the same state would be absolutely fantastic. Don't forget Lamont Roach Jr. joining us later in the week to discuss this fight, his thoughts on it, his emotions, his feelings. It's all right here on Pro Box TV. Find out when millions are watching.
Boxing commentator Showbiz suggests that Davis, as the superior fighter, would make the necessary adjustments in a rematch to ensure a clear victory. This viewpoint highlights the tactical evolutions that both fighters might implement in a future encounter to secure a definitive outcome.
As far as the rematch, Gervonta versus Lamont Roach, who do I got? I got Gervonta, and possibly by knockout.
Fuck Showbiz.
There's a lot of people that say that wasn't really quite Gervonta Davis. Me, on the other hand, I think Gervonta needed his ass whipped. I think victory was defeating Gervonta. Gervonta's been doing the same damn things, thinking, okay, this should beat you. I'm gonna collect the data, then I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna turn up. And Lamont was ready for all that shit. What I'm saying is, I think Gervonta is a greater fighter than Lamont Roach. And I think Gervonta is going to make those adjustments. Now, I know I brought up Roy versus Tar. And Lamont Roach can definitely look at Gervonta and say, any hair grease in your eye tonight, Tank? He can do that. And I think that'll be classy. But you could compare it to the Montel Griffin fight, right? The first fight, Roy and Montel, they were going at it. And Roy kind of figured him out later. The second fight, Roy just blew him out. Tank, he can do that. So, I got 800 again on Tank to knock him.
Reports indicate that the rematch could take place as soon as June 21st, signaling both fighters' eagerness to return to the ring and resolve the conflict quickly.
The Gervonta Tank Davis and Lamont Roach Jr.'s rematch is set for June 21st. Now, I spoke about this the other day that this rematch could be happening in June, and look like that's what it's going to be. Now, Lamont Roach, in order to beat Tank, he's going to have to do a little bit more than what he did the last fight. He either has to knock Tank out or do more than what he did the last time and make sure Tank doesn't do more than what he did last time in order to get the victory against Gervonta Davis. Now, Gervonta Davis still has a 0 on his record. He now has a draw on his record against Lamont Roach. So hopefully this fight really goes down in June. It's supposed to be June 21st in Las Vegas, the rematch many want to see because many thought that Roach won the fight and the knockdown should have counted, which the knockdown did not count. It is what it is. So we got to go back in there and see if we can do a little bit more, stay focused, and get the victory. Or same thing goes to Tank. Tank got to prove to the people that Roach is not better than him and Roach is not on his level. That's up to Tank Davis. We don't know if Tank just wasn't focused that night or Lamont Roach really has his number. I'm looking for Tank to maybe finish the fight this time, but to be honest, I don't think that Tank will be able to knock out Lamont Roach like he's been knocking out his opponents in the past, because Lamont Roach was taking some of his best shots. Some people think that because these two guys are friends, Tank didn't want to knock him out. And Tank said after the fight that he could have did a little bit more. So with that being said, maybe there's some truth to that, and maybe there isn't any truth to that. But we will find out on June 21st in Las Vegas. So be on the lookout for that. Who do you expect to win in this rematch? Holla at your boy.
Highly anticipated rematch. Roach is expected to refine his strategy to better counter Davis's strengths, while Davis will likely focus on defending his title with greater caution, aiming to avoid the mistakes of their previous fight. The initial bout ended in a draw, sparking debate among fans and analysts about who truly emerged victorious. This result has only heightened calls for a rematch to determine a definitive winner.
Yo, fight fans, did you catch that Gervonta Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach bout? Talk about controversy. The judges called it a draw. But let's be real, a lot of people think Roach got robbed. Both fighters brought their A-game, showing off some serious skills in the ring. Roach was on fire, landing clean shots and outworking Tank in several rounds. But Tank had his moments too, showcasing that explosive power we all know. But Tank going on one knee or being wobbled didn't swing it toward Roach. I don't know about that, but either way, now everyone's buzzing about an upcoming rematch. I mean, who wouldn't want to see these two go at it again? What's your take? Did Roach deserve the W, or was the draw fair? Drop your thoughts below and let's break down this fight.
Prominent commentator Joe Rogan didn't hold back in his criticism of Gervonta Tank Davis for his reluctance to commit to a rematch with Lamont Roach. Rogan rejected Davis's excuse of having something in his eye during the fight, calling it a flimsy justification. He argued that fans deserve a clear rematch, especially considering the controversial nature of their first encounter. Rogan also expressed disbelief that the referee failed to count a critical moment as a knockdown, suggesting that this oversight could have changed the outcome of the fight. He emphasized that boxing must maintain fairness and accountability to ensure true competition. A key moment in the fight occurred in the 9th round, when Davis took a knee, which was not ruled a knockdown. This controversial referee decision has been central to ongoing debates about the fight's result.
That was trash.
Well, I thought it was a good fight. You didn't think
great fight, but I just champion guy taking a knee, talking about greasing his hair.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm like, yo, how you just in the middle of the fight just go wipe your face?
Also, here's the deal. If you take a knee, that's a knockdown.
That's a knockdown. Subtract 2, right?
You got hit with a jab.
Yeah.
You took a knee.
And then you walked off.
Exactly. That is a knockdown.
Yeah.
So I think they're reviewing that right now.
Nah, that guy lost maybe.
Well, I feel like if they do review it and they do judge it as a knockdown, which it was clearly a knockdown to everybody, you take a knee, that's a knockdown. I think they will probably give it to Lamont.
This is a very interesting rule. They have a power slap that kind of talks about what you guys were just discussing.
Some analysts believe that Lamont Roach would have a significant edge in a rematch, pointing to his strong performance in the first bout and his potential to exploit weaknesses in Davis's strategy. They argue that Roach could build on the lessons learned from their previous fight and make the necessary adjustments to overcome Davis.
Gervonta Davis versus Lamont Roach is staying as a draw, which is bullshit because Gervonta Davis obviously took a knee and it should have been counted as a knockdown, but it wasn't. But this just means that Lamont Roach is going to take Gervonta Davis in the rematch, unless Gervonta Davis ducks the rematch with Lamont Roach because he knows he's going to get his ass whooped once again.
If I get touched,
I'm
coming on that ass.
But Davis's trainer acknowledged Roach's skills and stated that their initial game plan had been well-rounded. He noted that only minor adjustments would be needed for the rematch, expressing confidence in their original strategy and their ability to execute it successfully. In a second encounter,
what do you think the biggest surprise was in the fight?
It wasn't a surprise because we know Roach. It wasn't a surprise. Roach can fight. A lot of people think because a person is not popular, they don't exist. It's fighters out there that can rumble. They just got to get the opportunity, you know?
Speaking of rematches, Jalil Hackett is getting his opportunity again to fight the guy that He had a controversial lawsuit. It'll be happening in Florida. I think next week?
March 15th, I think.
Let's talk about
I'm rocking a major shirt now.
Major.
Yes, sir.
Tell me, how's that rematch look like, and then what's the difference makers coming into this fight?
The first fight, I thought, everybody thought Jaleel won. We just got to turn, hit the gears a little harder. We ain't really got to change too much. Just got to put the icing on the cake, Put the icing on the cake this time, that's all. He did enough to win the last fight, but we was in somebody else's territory,
This time around, being in Florida, do you feel like it's a mutual zone?
Yeah. It's more of an even playing field in Florida.
Okay. Do you feel like he needs a stoppage to win the fight due to what happened the first time?
Not necessarily a stoppage is good, but not necessarily.
All for today's video. Stay tuned for more updates next time.